Good afternoon, Seven Institutions. Apologize, we were a little bit tardy of you. We were going to be on at 1:15. We're on at 1:30. It's Tuesday, April 11th. We are going to spend some time on the capital bill. As customary, I like to go around on the first day of the week and just introduce the committee. So, Senator Mazza.
Yeah, Dick Mazza, Senator Grand Isle Colchester District. Morning, afternoon.
Wendy Harrison, Wyndham District.
Irene Runner, Chittenden North, including Fairfax.
Brian Collum, Warner Rutland District.
Linda Lehman, Committee Assistant.
And Russ Ingles, Chair and Essex District. So good afternoon. Thank you very much. So we have with us Becky and Dan and I can't.
Nick Kramer, Department of
Nicholas, yes. And who wants to go first?
Were you wanting to go through just the spreadsheet line by line?
Yeah, I think so. Huh?
Okay.
You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Is that something, Senator Mazza, you can't see it, can you?
What's that? The
You can't see the sheet, can you?
no, but that's all right.
Okay,
Go right ahead.
You,
If I put it on the website, you don't.
yeah, can you put it live? We're gonna have Linda put it on the screen.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, can you see that, Dick?
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Becky Wasserman, Legislative Counsel.
And Dan Dickerson, Joint Fiscal Office.
So we thought it would, if we just went through each section of the bill and the amounts appropriated, you could start making some decisions and then see where you might need money or have money left over to use for other purposes.
Sounds good. Don't be afraid to be descriptive.
Okay. So section 2 of the bill is buildings and general services. Major maintenance, there was a difference from what was appropriated in the House versus the governor's recommend. So there was $1,244 difference there. And the same amount, the amounts were the same in the second year. Do you know why there was that difference?
And the only reason the difference was that when the House did all of its allocations, they had that much left on the bottom line. So their practice has been, if there's a few thousand here or there, they just send it up to major maintenance. So that's why it's that number.
As their practice is, if they need a little bit more, they'll take it out of there as well.
Yeah, and I'll just note that these are for FY 24 and 25. These are increases from prior years, and I think BGS's goal is to keep slowly increasing that as costs rise and as materials, costs overall keep rising. So I think in 22, 23 it was 7 million and 7.5. So it's definitely an increase from that category.
Okay, everybody good with that?
Yeah,
go
I think
ahead.
it's great, assuming that they're able to keep up with the program and use the funding. Is that, because we don't have any stuff on actual expenditures.
I think, well, I don't want to speak for BGS, but I guess at a very high level, I'll say that they feel some confidence that they can keep this going, or they're catching up. I think COVID definitely set them back.
Yeah.
I think feel as though they're catching up, but I think to get, you know, a true accurate portrayal, it's better to have DGS say that as opposed to you speak for them.
Well, I'm fine with it.
So do you want to indicate if you
Yeah,
want to leave
I was
something
thinking
I was gonna
for
just-
Lynn, or
I think, yeah, as we go down through, everybody's all good, everybody nods their head, yes, let's just check it off and say for right now, we're gonna be good with that.
okay.
So, everybody good?
So next is physical security enhancements. The House passed bill had the same as the recommend from the governor, which was $250 each year.
And what is that for? Is it for one of the, is it for the badges that we get, or is it, do you know what it's for? I mean, I don't have an issue with it or a problem with it, just,
I actually don't know enough about
Okay.
that line item.
but,
Mr. Chair, I don't think it's us, because I think that's a different security division. I
I didn't know if it was for the badges that they make for us, because I think the BTS does the badges and all that, but it's not a big deal. As long as you guys don't have a concern about it, I was just raising the question about what it was.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, let's cross it off.
Sorry, I'm pulling up, the capital vote proposal from the administration, just to, because it actually had some pretty good description for what all these program categories were.
Yeah, it's in our book too somewhere, buried somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole binder that we got.
For very big planters in front of the building.
So examples of safety equipment includes card readers, cameras, lockdown and panic buttons, those types of expenditures.
Yeah, because I don't think there are, to the extent that it matters. Because I think our police do that.
BGS provides a decent amount of equipment that goes on to the State House. There is a separate camera project that the Capitol Police is undertaking that BGS isn't, to my knowledge, BGS isn't a part of, but for the most part, like the card readers, the cards, that all comes from BGS.
Oh, does it? Okay, then I'm wrong. I thought that was.
There's an MOU between BGS and the Capitol Police about security. So
Okay.
the sergeant at ours has authority in the building and BGS has authority out of the building, and then there's some overlap of a certain amount of feet outside the building. So there are some things that are that have to do with the State House that are provided by BGS.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Having.
Yes.
What's the, we talked about the State House expansion and design documents. Are we on board to continue spending on that, or is that something that, are we going along with? So I guess we're on track to get serious about the State House expansion. Is that what that means, or?
Well, we can certainly have that discussion now, or.
Okay, whatever.
It will come up further on in the spreadsheet.
Okay, well, okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're certainly gonna talk about it. Yep, Senator Mazza.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
So physical security enhancements, should we?
Yep, we're gonna cross that off, yep.
And then next is planning, reuse and contingency, so that's 500,000 each year.
In the white book, it just shows it was 15, it was 1.5 million, that must be, it got changed, and we just didn't upgrade the sheet on it, because it looks to be like it was, the governor recommend was $1 million here.
Yeah.
But on the book, it was 1.5.
Yeah, the other 500,000 is down in the cash fund section.
Okay, there we go,
Yeah,
thanks
so
for
the
that.
House did fund the full 1.5 the governor recommended, it's just different funding
Okay,
sources.
thank you for that very much.
Check that out.
Yep, check that off, you guys good?
And in Derry, the McFarland building, roof and brick facade repair. So that was 1.7 in FY24.
I mean, the governor wanted it, the House wanted it, you guys good?
I have no opinions, I'm fine.
Okay, here we go, check it off.
Next is the construction of safety fencing around the Bennington Battle Monument. So that's 500,000 in fiscal year 24.
I'm not finding that stuff in the book. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong.
Because I think they
renumbered
renumbered
this thing. They renumbered the lots.
Oh, yeah. The governor had the spreadsheet in a different order than what we ended up doing.
Okay.
So is there another line item here in the cash fund for fencing as well? On the Bennington Monument? Hold on a second, I saw that someplace.
No, I believe the governor's request was for bonded dollars for that, and I think the House maintained that.
Okay. Yeah. We good?
Yeah, just the future is gonna be a challenge on that one, huh?
Yeah. Okay,
Oh, yeah, it is. It's in the last, it's the last page of that section.
yeah.
500,000.
On we go, we're gonna cross that one off.
Okay, in Brattleboro, there's the roof replacement of the courthouse. So that was 2.75 in fiscal year 24.
Everybody good?
I'm good.
Okay, cross it off.
Middlesex, this is the central services complex, I believe, the roof replacement. So this is $1 million in fiscal year 24.
Page 26. Thank you, Irene.
Yeah, this is great. It's like little concepts.
Okay, well, the House didn't have a problem, the governor, what's what the governor wanted, you guys good?
Oh, yeah, in the archives, I remember talking to people. This is really important to do.
Okay, then
Yeah.
cross
You
that
say
off.
yes, yes.
Okay,
Then also, in Middlesex, the therapeutic community residence, master plan design and decommissioning, there is $350 in fiscal year 24 in bonded dollars, and there was nothing in the governor's recommend. The governor had 600,000 in the second year. The House had 400,000 in the second year, and then I believe there was, oh no, the 350.
Is that bonded too?
yeah, I had it added, they added 150,000 bonded dollars, and so they raised the amount from 600,000 to 750. Do we know why they did
So
that?
I'll just verify. So the totals for the governor and the House are the same. The governor had proposed 150,000 in cash fund in FY24, and then 600,000 in bonded dollars in 25.
Okay,
The House moved that all to bonded dollars and front loaded it more in 24, so now it's 350, 400.
so the same money, same dollars, they just moved it to, they just moved it to bonded dollars out of cash.
That's fine.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any reason why we shouldn't be good with that? Everybody good?
Yeah, no.
So while we're sitting here talking, while we're starting to make some decisions on that stuff right there, just asking Dan and Becky this, and Nicholas as well. So you heard the start of the conversation that we had with Jane, and that she was gonna find the monies and all of that stuff. You guys, that makes a lot more sense to what I said to your guys' brain than it probably does ours. So, you know, as far as any of these changes that the House has made between bonded and cash, just if any of that is ringing a bell with you that we need to be looking at something different, just let us know.
Okay.
You know, Jane was kind of vague about, you know, where that money was gonna come from. I thought that the way that she said that she would just claw it back from a House approach or however, wherever, whatever, but when she says that I don't need to worry about it, I don't need to worry about it. So I just want to make sure that as we're going down through here, that, you know, we all understand what we're doing, because we're going to have a new sheet when we're all said and done, and I just want to be able to explain it.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, the only, what we want to coordinate, and, you know, Becky and I can work on that with the budget staff is do we want to, you know, for the additional match, do we want to carry, you know, the authorization in the capital bill, much like we did with some of the other cash fund stuff, or they just want to carry that completely in the big bill. So I mean, that, I don't know if that's something I don't think it's something that needs to be sorted out today.
Okay.
That's something that's sort of out
So
there.
I guess
that's
where it's
sort of-
at is what I'm asking,
Same
where
with
if you guys can just follow up with that conversation and get us straight as far as so that we can, again, not today, but as when we go down through here, we're gonna be able to understand what the heck happened. I mean, I know what happened, I know what was said, I just don't know, and I don't know I just don't know how it's all gonna be figured out in that, so I'm just trust you guys to go figure it out for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, Senator Kitchell probably has the concept in her mind, and
Right.
then we'll all be working on the mechanics of how
Thank
that
you.
works
Yes.
in the coming days. So yeah, hopefully by next week, I think that'll really begin to be sort of crystallized, or at least hopefully. I think they want to get the budget bill out. So,
Yeah.
late next week.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Okay, thank you. So we cross that off, so now we're on 111.
Yep.
So this is the replacement of historic finishes in the State House. The House added 50,000 each year, which was not in the governor's recommend.
Yeah,
The governor recommended cash funds for those two.
Oh.
But the House said the previous practice has been to fund those with bonded dollars, so they wanted to carry it bonded.
So the total spent is still the same?
Yeah, total spend,
Yes,
the governor had
100,000.
100,000 from cash fund, the cash just, or the House just did 100,000 in bonded dollars.
Okay, well, I don't have a problem with that. Anybody have a problem with that?
No, I wish we could pay cash.
What's that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah,
wish we had a good, solid, philosophy and what we want to do with the cash fund, because it's really important to have it. I mean, now it's a reserve, which is actually better.
well, it's actually not really a reserve. It's made to be like this bill right here. Just you're gonna pay cash for something and you're gonna pay cash for things that you don't normally bond, that you don't want to bond for 20+ years.
Right.
And on something like this, I don't have just to tell you my thoughts about it and help you with that thought, because I think that what you said is very valid. If you're gonna do some upgrades to this State House and you're gonna spend monies on it, I think that's something that you don't mind bonding for. And because it's going to probably be better than 20 years of a fix.
Mhm.
So, but I understand what you just said very, very well.
Yeah, I just like it when you save cash and then you don't pay future interest, but that's not really what we're talking about. We just had an infusion of cash.
Right.
You know, that's the way that you can build.
I think what you'll have next
So
year,
you
Senator
don't have to
Harrison,
go
is you're gonna have a dedicated funding source. That's another thing that Jane said that she was going to do. She was gonna restore the funding source. And I forgot that, so as we're talking
Great.
through, so she's gonna restore the funding source. It's gonna be like at that 4% level. She doesn't know whether it was gonna be all from the general fund, but that it was gonna be up to 4%. And so to get back to what you just said,
Yeah.
it's going to be more in line as far as, okay, here's what we have for the monies. Here's
Yeah.
where you just said it correctly. We just dumped a bunch of cash in there. Now we're just trying to figure out how we're gonna spend that one-time cash.
Yeah.
So I think as we get this concept more into realities, what we're doing, you're gonna see more of a more concrete institutional knowledge about how it's typically spent.
Great. Okay, cool.
So we're good on the 100,000, the way it is, correct?
Yeah.
So next is 133 State Street. This is
Page
oh,
HVAC.
sorry, skip that. HVAC renovations in the State House.
What did Senator Madsen think about HVAC? I think we better do this one.
At least,
I feel like it's very warm.
It is really warm out here.
I would appreciate
Senator Mazza,
some HVAC.
you'd be looking to turn the air up in here today.
I'll tell you, it's beautiful in my office right now. Yeah, nice.
It's a little warm in here.
22.
So,
So we're good on 12, right?
everybody good on
Yeah.
line 12?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
line 13 is on page 22.
Yeah, so this is making renovations for Ledge IT at 133 State Street.
And then the house they look 700, so.
Yeah, and just for background, because it hits, this is something that hits our branch, is that, over the past few years, the General Assembly's appropriated about 2.1 million, and this 200,000 is just, it's to address inflation that is driving the cost of this project. But the goal is to get IT out of the space at 9 Baldwin and into 133, and then I think at that point, BGS would be interested in selling Baldwin, which they got authority to do, or contingent authority to do last
Right.
session.
Okay.
Here's the big one.
The State House expansion.
Okay, Senator Mazza, you're up.
Yeah, that's what I'm questioning. Are we definitely going to proceed with this, or is that something that's up in the air? Because I didn't know that we made a commitment on the Senate to go ahead with this. Now, maybe the House has different ideas, but if we keep spending money, that means we are serious about doing the expansion versus looking at all the space available that we can use elsewhere. So I'm just curious to find out why we're spending $250,000 if in fact we still have questions whether we should proceed with it or not. That's my question.
And I'm gonna add a little bit more to that, Senator Mazza, and it goes back to what Senator Harrison had raised a point on. Is if we're gonna do drawing up plans and all of that stuff, it's really not a bondable, in my mind, it's not a bondable number that we want to be using. I think that we want to use cash for that if in fact we're gonna proceed. Senator Harrison, that's one of those areas where, in my mind, that's where I'd want to pay cash. So for now, just to get through it without getting in a lot of debate, and maybe bringing in some more people, maybe asking some questions. Do we want to leave this one open?
Yeah, I kind of feel as Senator Mazza does. But leave it in for now. Yeah.
Just leave it open. I mean, I'm saying we're gonna do, let's leave it open for further discussion, because those are the ones that we leave open, we're gonna be wanting to go find some answers to. And
yeah.
so we're probably gonna be bringing some people in and asking some questions.
I'm gonna put it over there.
Okay,
Is that 250 bonded or cash?
it's
Bonded.
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 So that's where I would want to, if we were gonna do it, I'd want to switch it to cash. That's where my preference would be, but, but anyways, we'll leave it open. We'll have more discussion on it. You good with that, Senator Mazza?
Yep, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Newport.
Page 11.
So here's another,
Oh, you're so bad.
You make it a competition.
so here's another one I want to leave open a little bit, and I'll tell you why. I think you guys have heard this before. We haven't found any land up there. We don't know what we're gonna do up there. They had talked about where they'd like to put this, and me being a taxpayer in Newport, I wouldn't want it there. I want it because they're gonna take up some of the most prime spot in Newport. I want to leave this one open, and I just want to leave this open. I want to have some further discussions on this one right here.
Sure.
And can I ask if that 750 is also bonded?
That is bonded.
That is
Yeah,
bonded and, oh, sorry.
Oh, then there's 500,000 cash in FY25, or from the cash fund, I guess, in FY25.
So you'll
Really?
see that so that's on the last page of the spreadsheet, so we'll see that when
Okay.
we get there.
So remember that too.
Yep,
So 14 and 15 are voted.
yep. 14 and 15, we're gonna leave open, okay?
Okay.
Everybody go with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Next is
25.
the Northwest State Correctional Facility roof replacement. That is 1.3 in FY24 in bonded.
Everybody go with that?
Yep.
Okay, we'll cross that one off.
Then there's the Northeast State Correctional Facility, the door control system replacement.
Page 13.
Everybody go with that?
Yeah, everybody agrees at least.
Yeah, I don't have any notes on it. Yeah, you got
Okay, so. The courthouse in White River Junction, the renovation.
21. Everybody
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
3 acre parcel.
Yes, so the next one is a 3 acre parcel, stormwater planning, design and construction.
Just in general.
This is,
So what is
Or
that?
is this for-
What is that, guys? What is that? It's just,
If you have a parking lot or a roof with 3 acres or more of impervious soil,
yeah.
you have to make a plan to get rid of it.
So is this for obviously something
Study.
that we have? I mean, is it a project? Is it a
It's
blank
so
amount of monies?
it's tied to Act 64, which is the Clean Water Bill that passed in 2015. Essentially, it created this timeline for when new permit programs would be implemented. And so this 3 acre permit, is going to affect, the next couple of years. And at that point, any property, whether it's state-owned or privately owned, would have to have a permit from the A&R if there's 3 acres or more of impervious surface on a parcel, with a plan for how to modify it so that it meets the clean water regulations. So this funding is specifically for state properties.
Okay, so here it is right here. Yeah,
And for 10
BGS has 8 sites to,
Yeah.
so BGS has 8 sites to mitigate, Central Services in Middlesex, Capital Complex in Montpelier, Department of Labor in Montpelier, Northern State Correctional Facility in Newport, Robert H. Wood Jr., Criminal Justice and Fire Safety Training Center in Vermont, Pittsburgh. Okay, so there's specific projects, so it's just not.
And it's planning, design and construction.
And A&R has
Yeah,
similar
there's-
money in its.
And you know how I bring up stormwater utilities?
Yep.
That those would help finance these types of projects. Because
Yeah.
everybody has to do these and it's the federal government who mandates it, so we cannot get around it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a lot of money, a lot of money.
Sure is.
Yeah, that's why
Detention
stormwater
ponds and.
is, yeah.
We're talking about the fairgrounds in Essex is gonna cost like
Yeah.
$2 million just for that.
How much?
3.5 million, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rutland is over $1 million.
yeah, it's crazy. It's really gonna be it's gonna put a burden on a lot of,
Well, we're trying to, in Senate Ag, Bobby and I have been in talks, and I gotta just talk to them again. It's not gonna get resolved this year about trying to find a way to exempt fairs. And we'll see. We're a long ways from that, but
Yeah, that's gonna be really hard to do.
yeah. Well, actually, what it was is that the federal guidelines, we added it as a state. The federal guidelines didn't add it. We added it as a
Added
state.
Added what?
Yeah, added the fairs and all of that.
Oh,
We,
really?
yeah, we added it as a state. The feds
Interesting.
didn't do it.
Well, then we should,
Right.
Basically, the EPA said, you gotta do this, you figure out how to do it. And we did with the 3 acre.
right.
That's how
Right.
we
Well,
decided to do
another,
it.
I mean, but we still would have some sort of
Well, this was
statewide regulation.
some
but
of it
sounds
was
like we
above and-
exempted particular.
some of it was above and beyond what the feds had mandated that we do. So
Interesting.
so
I
that
would
can
like
be
to
in this-
know more about that.
certainly not a discussion that we're gonna solve today, but just giving some context into it
Yeah,
that
that's helpful.
that we might be, maybe next year, we might be looking at some different language as far as all that. So. Okay, so we're good on that?
Yep.
Okay,
120.
line 20,
So
Is
that's
that page
the
27?
phase out of the R22 refrigerant. At statewide, used at statewide properties. I don't know how many facilities this
Yeah,
impacts.
it's probably the plan.
38 BGS.
And then just to give the context for why that number changed, so this is line 20 and 22, about 75,000 was pulled from between those two, and that is because we realized in working through the allocations with BGS that they actually didn't have enough money to give back for reallocations, so the capital bill was out of balance. So we pulled the 75,000 from these lines in order to balance it again. Hopefully that explanation makes some sense.
Okay.
So are you gonna put it back later?
Well, so in the reallocation section, you know, we had anticipated, you know, X amount of money. And then BGS came back and said, oh, we paid a few invoices from one of these accounts. So now we have 75,000 less that we can offer back as a reallocation, which threw the capital bill out of balance briefly. But then BGS said, well, okay, if you pulled 50,000 from R22 and then 25,000 from the Northern State Correctional Facility, that would rebalance it and we would be okay with that.
I
So
see,
so that was something we did with BGS and they were on board.
And did this come out as a new bill to us, as new language to us? Is this what Alice gave me for some language on the State House ARC, on the
Yes,
ARC and State Building Program?
That's in H 102. Yeah, you have that bill.
Yeah, I think I have that bill, so that's something that we're gonna revisit, so.
So that's,
Now,
that's connected to that bill, yes.
Yeah, probably about
Okay.
3 paintings.
yeah, okay, so we're good with that?
Yeah.
We're
So
good
just
with
remember that we're probably gonna
20,
have to
right?
pull
We're
that bill off the
Yeah.
wall at some point in time, guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
20 and 22 are related, so.
Well, they're only related in the sense that they had they needed to be balanced, money was taken.
Just to balance it out.
To balance out the capital bill, but the projects are very different.
Right.
So is 21 okay or not? Is that what you said?
That's the
Yeah.
one with the bill.
yeah, that's the one up there, we'll probably have to pull that off the wall and
So
deal
we're
with that.
waiting on, we're not coloring that as
I-
done, or we are?
I'd color it in.
Okay.
If everybody's all set, everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's section 2. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we only have 2 items in there that we're unsure of.
So I've got the next section, and I gotta admit, I'm confused because in the book, well, it just looks like it's been jostled around. So DOC planning, design, construction for HVAC systems and correction.
I need some tutelage on this,
Sure.
because there's a lot of language in here, and there's a lot of stuff that was happening last year that never got finished, and like, there was like $500,000 from last year that we're still dealing with, and all that, so I'm gonna let you guys break this down for us.
Yeah, I can give some background. So at a high level, the HVAC in DOC facilities is a priority for the House. So last session, they gave BGS 500,000 to begin studying what would need to be done to modify facilities to have HVAC capacity. I think 1 or 2 have some HVAC at least, and then a couple of others don't have anything.
2 do, I think, and the rest don't.
Okay. And so what this additional money for, at least from, trying to give you the best representation of the House perspective I can is that, with the 500,000 BGS could sort of do some initial planning, but the House wanted to have really a full plan for each facility and have it all the way to, I think, schematic design for, and so this additional funding is to get BGS further along in the process than the 500,000 alone would do. So that's their intention, and in order to fund that, $1 million over the 2 years, they pulled $1 million from the Women's Correctional Facility.
Oh,
They also put in language in the bill that said if there's, when they're looking up how to design the systems in the different correctional facilities, if they identify an immediate need in a common room or a break room, cafeteria area in a correctional facility where they can sort of immediately take care of it and install an HVAC system, then they can draw from this money to do that,
From the 300.
from the 300, yeah.
Is this cash or bonded?
This is all bond.
All bonded, all what we're doing right now is should be all bonded. So
Okay.
When I had an offline discussion with Dan, just talking about and just kind of figuring it out, he used the same word he used today, and he said it's a house priority, which means that they probably kind of like this. And if, so if they kind of like it, it means that they probably want to fight pretty hard for it. So unless you guys have any objection to it, I would just say, let's cross it off and move on unless you guys have an objection to it.
No, I think it's important. I mean, it's, when summer's getting hotter, those facilities are like ovens. It's awful.
Santa Monica, all good?
Yep, thank you. Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
so we can go right down through,
27 and 30 or.
yeah, 27 to 30. Everybody good?
Well, all of that's pretty much the same thing, yeah.
Yeah. And the women's,
They grab $1 million of it. And use part of it up top and then part of it below. If I'm reading the,
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so that gets us through section 3.
yeah, 3.
Everybody good?
Yeah. Section 4 looks like there were no changes, so I'm fine.
Yeah, I think I'm reporting that one too.
No, that's me.
Oh, is that you too? I'm sorry.
I've got 3 and
Okay.
4.
Everybody go with the numbers on that?
Yeah,
Want to go down through each one, or you all set?
All set.
Okay, so let's mark them off.
oh, this is one, the historic preservation grants.
Yeah, so the
Those are
next,
all-
next section is all the building communities grants. And those are all 300,000. There's a few years ago for the human services and educational facilities, the committees decided to separate them out to human services and education, so they split equally 150,000, but otherwise they're all, it's consistent with the governor recommend.
So when you just case, it's page 41 and 42 in the book.
Oh, okay.
It'll give you a little bit of actual sentences with periods.
Yeah, I mean, I actually did one of these, a barn preservation grant. It's a really good program. I wish we could fund it more, but nobody's proposing that.
This is where the ag, I think the committee was talking about the ag fairs.
Yeah,
The fair's definitely.
yeah, it would be on line 50, it would be on line 50 on that, if we wanted to pull the 100,000. If we wanted to give them, we talked about giving them $10,000 each, so. if we
I'd like to move on that one. Get that one
Okay.
placed, no.
So I'm confused. I thought that was in section 11 under Agency of Ag, Food and Market.
It should have been on not line 50, agricultural fair capital projects. That's where we gave them $30,000 a piece. There were 10 of them. And we had talked about giving them another $10,000 a piece.
Yeah.
So we're talking about $100,000 over a 2-year period.
Yeah.
Santa Monica, that's what you were envisioning?
Yep,
100,000, 10,000,
For that.
5,000 in each year in 24, 25?
Yep, is that what we're doing? 5,000 each year?
That's what I'd like to do.
Okay, that's good.
So for each year, these would go from 300 to 350.
Yep,
Correct.
yep. And we're pulling it.
Oh,
And you can mark that Senate priority.
Yes.
so 350,000 and 350,000?
Yeah, so we're gonna make it 700,000. And we're gonna cross out everything here, and we're gonna go grab that 100,000 down a little bit lower. I think I know where we might get it from, but we'll keep on going, and when we get there, we'll make that decision.
So what is, so the, ends up being 21, or 2,150,000? Sorry.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I don't worry about the totals.
Okay. And all the other numbers are staying the same, right?
Yep.
yeah,
Section 6 didn't change. That's one of mine, so.
yeah, that's consistent, it's 50,000 a year for emergency.
Yeah.
Projects for schools, and
Yeah,
that's,
We took some testimony, so if they have a flood or they have
yeah,
to close school
New
because the
boiler.
boiler blew up.
and that's consistent with, I think. I don't know, as long as I've been here, that's always been $50,000.
Doesn't seem like enough.
no,
No,
but,
I would think if anything, it would go up.
but they never hollered,
No, I know.
no.
I mean, a broken window will take a tenth of that away.
And schools have a lot happening.
That,
They're
that
eight-
line used to be millions and millions and millions of dollars, and we're fortunate they haven't been screaming for, go back on school
Yeah.
funding.
It's coming back, Senator
Well,
Monson,
they
you're
might
right,
be.
you're right. We're gonna
I
see
know,
it
but,
again.
but it's been a number of years, we haven't had anything, so it's amazing that they've gone this long without any.
Well, let's move on then quickly.
Yeah. Let's not
Draw the
linger.
attention to it.
So, now we're on, section 7. Everybody good with that?
Short and sweet.
Yeah, we had them in a long time ago.
Yeah,
That's Richard.
And the Vermont State Colleges is usually right next to UVM.
Right.
And it receives funding through bonded dollars, but this year it is in the reserve fund.
Oh.
And they had $1 million taken out, I think it went from 10 to 9, if I'm remembering right.
yeah. Yeah,
It's in a later section.
we're probably gonna get after that a little bit more.
Yes, it went from 10.
There it is.
When they put their libraries back, we'll give them some money.
Thank you.
Okay, section 8.
Section 8 is natural resources. So first, there's the match for the federal funds for the drinking water state reserve fund.
Page
And
50, in case you know.
Thanks for that, I like that you do that.
This is the base funding for that program, so this doesn't encompass any of the extra federal money through the infrastructure investment.
IIJA, yeah.
Okay, well, that looks like it's unchanged. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Line 65.
Yeah, and is this me? I'm just trying to keep track of stuff.
It is me.
What's
What's that? I mean,
I don't have it, I have it someplace, but
review, maybe it's good.
It is, well, no, well, there was a different section. Section 8 used to be the college. It was the colleges that got moved. Section 9. Oh, this is you, Russ, our
Okay.
chair,
there you go.
A&R.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yep, there we go. Thank you.
So line 66 is,
So,
damn project.
so what happened there? They just couldn't, they weren't gonna spend $1 million anyway, so they just didn't do it, or what happened here?
I think the House thought that they had gotten a lot of money last year, so they wanted to sort of wait and see how things play out in the coming year, and then have them back in January to.
I wanna leave that open, because I wanna have a conversation with those guys before. I mean, what we didn't get for a conversation this year that we got last year was just how dire some of these conditions of some of these dams were in.
Right.
So let's leave that open and let's get them back in and talk about that.
And 67, the 3-acre stormwater compliance, this is for forest parks and recreation, so it's similar to what PGS received that appropriation for.
Okay, hasn't changed. It's gone through 2 sets of eyes. You're good on the 3rd set of eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. Same with the 68, open access, recreation infrastructure and recreational access points.
Yep.
You guys good?
The change on 69 for fish and wildlife is, we received some of this in cash.
Does it all equal what it was?
It looks like it's maybe $70,000 more, no?
The administration had asked for between
Oh, there we go.
cash and bonded dollars, about 4.6 million.
Yep.
The House has funded 3.8 million of that, so
So
they
the
took
600,000.
off 600,000 in bonded dollars and 200,000 in cash.
From this one item.
Say that again, Dan.
The administration had asked for 4.6 million between bonded I guess 3.6 million bonded dollars and 1 million in cash, so 4.6 million total. The House reduced the bonded dollars by 600,000 to 3 million. And then they reduced the cash from 1,800,000. So the House funded 3.8 million when the governor had asked for 4.6.
You just want to leave that open and talk about more? What do you guys want to do? I don't understand it, so I'd like to talk about it more.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't,
Yeah.
if I had to report it, I don't know what just got said, and so let's figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
I apologize, Dan, you said it twice and
Oh, did I?
it still didn't say it.
I
So-
have a
No,
problem.
it's-
So-
Good point.
It's
It's hard.
So I get it.
Yeah.
So 70 looks pretty.
Yeah,
good.
that's FY 25 appropriation for Forest Parks and Recreation.
So you good, on 70?
Yep.
Okay.
Section 9 are the clean water projects. These were all fully funded. Typically, the municipal pollution control grants are paid for out of bonded dollars from this section. This year,
Is that where we had the 10 million and they
Yes,
they
and
dropped
they-
it down to
yes.
4 million? Okay, we're gonna probably adjust some of that in the bonded dollar section, probably coming out of some college stuff. So that we can make sure that we get all the match money on that. We probably want to talk about that a little bit more.
The whole section.
Well, this section I'm fine with, but talking about the other section, when we get down to that match money,
Yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
talk about that, yeah,
Okay,
as far as on that.
so
But
just check the.
I'm fine with this if you guys are, as long, there's nothing's changed.
Right.
Who's reporting it? Number
I-
9,
I am.
are you fine? You
I-
wanna go down through it?
I will be comfortable, because I have a meeting with the secretary.
Okay. So you wanna cross it off, you wanna go down through
Maybe go down through them after I talk to her, is that a,
Okay.
except, I mean, the ones that aren't changing, I would presume are fine.
them? Okay, do you wanna, it's your call. You wanna cross them off, you wanna leave it open?
Page 57, by the way.
Okay.
I mean, it'll give you
Nice little
some-
summaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, yeah, there's good stuff in here, in our remembering. Okay, this is fine, sure.
Well,
And
what's that
then-
mean,
and
cross them off or leave it open?
That means cross them off with the understanding that the municipal pollution control, we're gonna talk about that. a
Yes,
lot.
we are.
Yeah.
That $10 million we're gonna talk about. That $10 million that got reduced to 4 million, we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, so 76, 78, 80, 82, 83,
And-
84 are fine, right?
okay, section 10 is military. There's usually just one line item appropriation for maintenance, renovation, and ADA compliance of state armories, and these were fully funded from the governor's recommended both years.
Where's that section?
10,
Senator Moses.
yeah, I know, it's Harrison, Senator, 10 is Harrison.
Right, 10 is, but military, the numbers
Oh, I'm
are
sorry, I
different now.
apologize.
Yeah, when I'm following the same.
Military, yeah, no, military.
So it's Senator Mazza, okay. It's page 60, Dick, in the book.
Okay,
This book's here. Yeah, when he has it. He gets the book.
The
The
next
numbers
section.
are wrong.
Yeah, they are, they've
Okay,
changed.
okay, there we go, okay.
Whatever section number the next one is, the agency of ag is me. And I don't see any changes, so,
We're gonna add to it.
well, no, that's what I thought the stipend was. But the stipend we put back in line 50.
So the grant program is not under the
Right.
agency of ag section, it's under the grant
Yeah.
section.
I did the same thing, I mean.
Cross it
So
off.
it's just, yeah, there's two
Cross it off.
sections and they both, the governor and the House agreed, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, so you're good?
Yep.
Food markets and all that, you're good?
So that's
Yeah.
94 or 95?
Correct. Then we get the joy.
Okay, so this is where I wanted to take the 100,000 and put it back to what we have already taken. So we gotta find 100,000. And again, it's just, again, I mean, they were fine with the monies and so that's kind of why I thought we'd do that.
So it still leaves 50, right?
Yeah, I mean, it still leaves them, well, it leaves them to 200,000. It leaves them with $100,000 each biennium.
They've never asked for more since I've been there. They're happy with the 50,000.
But I thought they did ask for, well,
No.
my,
No,
right, I mean, they didn't officially ask for more, but I thought in our conversations, they said they could use.
Well, if you offer to them that, they're not gonna say no, I can tell you that.
I'm gonna,
No, but I mean, this is public safety.
Well-
It's important,
Right.
Yeah,
especially.
but they don't have enough projects. They've got enough projects to take care of. What I'm saying is, there's not a waiting list of projects they can't complete. There never has been.
Can I just double check my notes? Because I really thought they said that there were.
You like fire hydrants, don't you?
I value fire protection. Yes, sir.
I know. I'm just going back from history, and like I said, they have always had enough money. But if you say to them, you need another 50,000, who's gonna say no?
I won't call anybody. I just want to go back. And
My
check
dog's
my
like
notes.
hydrants. I know that.
I'm gonna get you a little fire hydrant, bring it to you, okay?
Do you want us to leave it O or check?
Leave it open, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Because also the House increased it, so they must
Yeah,
have
they
had
did.
a reason.
No, Alice said they gave them an extra 100.
right, Alice told us that they didn't even ask for it,
They gave it to them.
gave it to them.
That was Michael, what's his name?
Right,
Fire Safety Commissioner.
yeah.
Yeah, and a couple people.
DeRocha.
DeRoche.
But then there was a guy who actually does
He
the
did, he
program
did.
too.
Okay.
Section 13,
VHCB, I don't know whose it is.
That's mine. Everybody loves VHCB.
No, they got a bunch of money.
nobody changed it, so there you go.
Yeah. And this is, I think, not still at the level, that, but for with, that, but for, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this isn't that funding, right? That's a separate
Yeah, that's
area. Okay,
The property transfer tax.
yes, okay, thank you.
So the next one, this was, they had some reallocations of monies, right, didn't they, or whatever, and they just kept it in there, and they ended up with some more, but they just kind of prioritized.
Yeah, the repo, or I guess the so-called repo committee, the reallocation committee identified about 490,000 in unspent funds going all the way back to 2012 that had been either appropriated to BGS to do work on behalf of the Veterans Home or appropriated directly to the Veterans Home. So they said instead of just pulling that back and deploying it elsewhere, they wanted to give the Veterans Home and BGS another chance to complete the work that had originally been planned. So they just repackaged that money into two separate appropriations, and that's what you see in lines 110 and 113. So one is an appropriation to BGS to do work for the Veterans Home, and another is directly to the Veterans Home. And I think the difference really is, I think BGS is doing sort of the major maintenance component, like just renovations, but then the money going directly to the Veterans Home is for like big infrastructure projects.
And that's nowhere in the book.
Correct, because that was something that the House did outside of.
I'll have to catch up with somebody that got language there. The boiler plant replacement looks okay, as does the elevator upgrade.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it, they certainly use the money,
So 111 and 112 are good.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm fine with
110 and
110 and
113.
113 as well, as long as you guys
kind
are.
of together.
Okay.
This is yours, Russ, I think.
Oh my God, this is
Yeah.
15.
Oh, maybe it isn't.
I think reallocation was pretty good.
I think this was 15 as well, ever
This is a
since.
combination of a bunch of stuff, right? Because like 108 Charity is mine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These are just the projects that received capital funding in the past that are 2 or more years old and they are unexpended. And so these
so this is
are,
what we clawed back,
yeah,
right?
so this is the clawback and it's just the going to the bottom line and being used as a source of funds to support the projects in the bill.
So when we do the floor report, are we gonna reference this or just, will it even show up?
It will, I mean, it will show up on the spreadsheet and I think it's a good reference because it is adding $14.7 million
Oh, yeah.
to your ability to spend. And so it's sort of supporting the projects that are being authorized in the bill.
Okay.
So is that where the 14 was? Excuse me.
Um,
We were missing 14 million from the house. Is that where?
Actually, this just started out, it was section 18 originally, reallocation to transfers.
Yeah.
It was Senator Renner's.
Right, but it was only those Cherry Garage.
So, yeah, so we want to be able to explain this a little bit.
We're
So-
gonna have to pass it off line by line.
Well, no, we'll go back through and.
Yeah,
It
and I
might be
can,
easier to treat it as one person covers the
You're right.
section rather than the projects,
I-
because it's not about the specific project.
So these basically are projects that never got done and we pulled the money back out, and reallocated the money as is, what's in the statute, the monies that got bonded go back into the capital fund and these are the projects and that's how we rotate the money.
Yeah.
The
Exactly,
simplest explanation that you can say.
yeah.
And then somebody can say, well, why didn't you do line 127? That happened, I don't know.
Well,
Get it done.
I think one important thing to have, at least on the side, you don't have to explicitly say, but somebody might ask, is any place where money is being pulled back from the veterans home, that's where it's being redeployed elsewhere. So if somebody asks, why are you taking money from the veteran home, you can say, we're not taking it, we're sort of repackaging that money.
Right.
And that's what you see in section.
Right, all that.
Yeah.
And that money in particular was a lot older, had been unexpended for a
Yeah,
pretty
you see
long
the
time.
years. You can see the
And
years.
so this is sort of a policy choice to not actually take it back from them, but to sort of reappropriate it and allow them to use it. But there is some language that says that they have to come back and report to you all by next January to show how they, their timeline for expending the funds.
So it's accurate to say that all of the veterans' homes, that items that are on this list in section 5, all of that funding went back
Yes,
to the
Yeah, I
veterans'
just-
project.
it's all going right back.
I just did the
Okay.
math, so if you take lines 120, 121, and 123, that adds up to the 490 that are in lines 110 and 113. But there's another line that the Vets Home Kitchen renovation and mold remediate for 209, I don't know where that is.
So it's, so on line 113, the 230,000,
Yeah.
if you look at lines 145 through 147, that's how we get that amount. Those three, the 88,000, the 49,000, and the 92,000.
Okay, the 230,000.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then, let's see, line 121, or 120, 121, 123,
That equals,
and 131
yeah,
gets, yeah, I think that gets to the two.
it's more than that down there.
121,
There's 131 too.
Yeah, I added the 4 up and it's way more, well, not way more, but it's more than the sum total of the home maintenance and the furnishings and security systems that are a line item by themselves in section 14. So there's still some vet money somewhere that I can't find.
it should just be line 120, 121,
Yeah.
123,
Yeah.
and 131.
131.
Those should be, I think those are the only vets home.
Yeah, no, they are. So let me add it up again, 2095, 196, and
I expected upstairs in tuna.
I come up with 705. 705,000, which was, I don't know where that is. You see what I mean? If you add the 4 items
Yeah.
here, you come up with $705,000. 70,000, I'm sorry, 70,500. Then if you take the 2 items that are back here in lines 110 and 113, they only equal 490. So there's an extra 209,000 somewhere.
Yeah, it's line 131.
131,
I think you're missing that one,
And where is that?
It's in the section 15.
section 15.
No, I know that. I'm not
Where's
explaining
the
this very
line?
well.
Yeah,
If you add the 4 reallocations from, that are all labeled Vets Home, you come up with a total of 496 and 209 is 705, 70,000. That seem reasonable? Give or take, I'm just rounding up here.
so you're not including the 200.
Are you saying 145 to 147? Lines 145 to 147?
No, he's saying just before
What do
veterans.
you do, you wanna do the math? You want me to? That's what a calculator.
Becky's right, I didn't see those 3 bottom lines there, because they're labeled
Yeah.
BBH instead of
Because
Vermont
there are
Veterans.
some
Yeah, yeah,
appropriations that go directly to the Vets Home,
Okay,
and then some that go to BGS on behalf
I
of the
got it.
Vets Home.
I'm sorry, I
And
was
so
so
that's why
obtuse.
they're not in the same.
I wasn't getting it. And you
No,
explained it
I
about
was
9
totally-
times and you must have been thinking, Jesus, has he got a brain or not? So-
I still don't get it, so let's tell me
Okay, so
So there are 2,
separate places where.
if you go to section 14,
Yeah.
there's the 2 appropriations. So one is for 260,000 to BGS,
Right.
and the other is 230,000. That's going directly to the veterans.
Yeah.
So in order to get the 260,000, you would want to go to section 15, lines 120, 121, 123, and 131. That gets to roughly 260,000.
Yeah.
And then in order to get to the 230,000, you want to just look at lines 145 to 147.
All right,
See, it was just
all
confusing
right, yeah,
because it was labeled differently.
yeah.
But I would say,
That's
you
good,
know,
I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm not, because it makes it look dumb.
It did, no, it took me longer to understand that you're inquiring.
I'm not-
yeah, people might, if
Leave it right alone.
if people see that money with the vets home is being reallocated, I think that's the one area where there might be questions, and that's where you'd say, you know, we're not taking it, period, we're
Reallocating.
reallocating, giving it back to the veterans. So
Yeah. Okay, so now, I don't know what various projects mean, from BGS, that's line 120.
So this is one of those sort of,
Catch-all type things where they had. all the
yeah,
cents.
I think, and I don't know, Nick,
It's
you
not a lot
might be
of
able to
money.
answer this better, but I think, you know, for each year, there's that long list of all the BGS projects, and when the financial operations folks, you know, program the appropriation into the state's accounting system, they lump all those projects into one, what's called a depth ID, and that's these 7-digit numbers that you see, or excuse me,
Okay.
10-digit numbers that you see.
So it's 10 cents here, $3 there, and they add up for 2015 to that.
And you have the same thing on
In
line
15,
124 as well.
Which is 65, right, a little different, but.
Right.
Yeah, and so when we were going through the reallocation process, you know, I sent memos to all the different agency heads saying, hey, here are all these monies that we've identified that are 2 years old or older. Just please explain, you know, what's going on with these, how you intend to spend them, and what your timeline is. And for BGS, because so many of their projects get lumped into like one line item, they actually have to break those out and go, well, you know, let's see, for an example, various projects 13, if there's 200,000 sitting there, well, we've got 60,000 for this, 30,000 for
Right.
this, and so it's sort of, it's a little painful, but we made it work, and so that's. So if you're interested in you know, I don't know who's gonna be going through this. If anyone's interested in having the background information that's feeding these numbers, I can give it, because I was like, I was involved with that process. Yeah.
Well, I think Senator Renner was supposed to.
I'm gonna
report
speak to it as a
section
whole.
5.
Right, that's what I would do. I would speak to it as a whole.
Who in the audience is gonna be looking at this
No.
anyway?
By this time, they're gonna be all glazed over.
Well, they're gonna bill it for.
Right.
I can ask you if you want.
Would you explain line?
That would be harsh.
Yeah. Only if you want. No, thank you.
All your committee coffee got on the floor.
If you wanna like filibuster, yeah.
Okay, so we're good with all that, we're gonna cross it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just quickly, section 16, this is where in the bill, you've got, you're giving the treasurer authority to issue 108 million in bonds, which is consistent with the recommendation from the Capital Debt Affordability Advisory Committee for the 2-year capital cycle. Past that, and then we can move into the cash funds. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
and I want to be careful about this, because you're gonna do some homework for us on this, right? As far as what Jane's gonna do and all of that, I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna continually harass my colleagues to ensure that they give me information as soon as they have it on how this sort of begins to crystallize.
Yeah.
Which is consistent with what I did in the House. I think my other JFO coworkers were sick of me asking about, well, what's the House Appropriations Committee gonna do with this cash fund?
but because I think we could safely get down to the, before we hit the yellow area, I mean, we could probably, if you guys want to spend some time to make sure that we fully understand it, but we've got a lot of moving parts that are gonna happen. We're gonna have a lot of moving parts happening after that. And I'd like to be kind of resolute in what our numbers are gonna be. I can tell you this, Dan, or maybe you can give us some insight. On number 180, line 180, that $10 million, what is that release for funds if we were to, that's seed money, that's match money?
It's not directly match money, but if there's, let's say there's a clean water project that is going to qualify for, let's say the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. So this project, municipality, let's say Montpelier, they're going to take out a loan through this revolving fund for, they've got a 10 million project, they're going to take out a $3 million loan. I'm just making
Right,
that
no, that's right, there's just no.
They could also apply to ANR for a municipal pollution control grant to provide additional funding for that project. So it's separate from the revolving fund, but it's, the revolving fund and the municipal pollution control grants are going to the same pool of projects. So to the extent that, let's say a project needs, X amount of money in order for a municipality to be able to do it, the grants will help towards that, but so does the revolving fund. So they're related, but the municipal pollution control grants are not directly going to bring in additional federal dollars. It's
But
just
the
a
bottom
state-
line
it's just
is
a
there's
state
$6
grant.
million less money for towns across the state to apply for, to complete projects or to do projects.
That's-
We have $6 million less.
Correct.
Okay. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'd
like to get it back.
like to get it back.
Yeah.
I'd like to get it back. I don't have a problem. I can tell you, I don't have a problem with getting some of that back or most of it back to the college fund. Only because I know that they have more avenues to grab money from. Like P-Check was talking about yesterday, and as I spoke with the governor's office today, that they, we're not handicapping the colleges, but I think that we can get a large portion of that money back, whether we get it all back or we get some of it back, if you wanted to do that.
So I was at that press conference. I'm just trying to think. There's $85 million that will be available in 2 separate timetables at pretty reasonable interest rates. They're loans, they're not grants, they're loans. So the state colleges are a separate entity, and in that case, I think can they legally borrow money from the state?
I'm not familiar with how the college, I know there are certain entities that, you know, the state provides its, I think it's called full faith and credit or something like
Yeah.
that. So it's not, the state's not directly borrowing on their behalf, but it's sort of the state's sort of putting its credit on the line for entities. I don't know if the state colleges fall within that umbrella.
And I'm
But
not,
I can get that information.
yeah, and I'm not questioning the chair's interpretation.
No, I want to be sure too.
Yeah, so anyway, because the question was asked at Q-Check yesterday, okay, so there's 85 million, there's gonna be part one, which is maybe gonna be half of that. The applications are due by June 1st. People that have applied will know by the middle of July whether they're getting money. So let's say they borrow $3 million from that 85. The interest rate on that's gonna be like 1%. They're really, really fantastically low interest rates. The highest, I think he said, was 2.5. So the smaller you borrow, the less the interest. And so that would be a way out for them, for sure. This is the capital bill, which started out at 10 million for the state colleges. The House took $1 million out, so it's at 9. So if they still needed, if we were able to reallocate, but move some of that into the municipal grants or the IIJA stuff, they could borrow to make up the difference, I think, at what I would consider pretty amazing interest rates, certainly below commercial rates right now. You know, the banks are charging 3, 4, 5%. These are all below that. It seems reasonable to me, but I just wanted to make sure, because they're an instrumentality of the state in a sense, but I don't know whether they can tap the other half of the state on the shoulder and say, can I borrow some money?
Yeah, I'll do some research to see where they fall on that
Okay.
hierarchy. I know there are certain entities that they do sort of fall within that umbrella of, well, the state will, you know, they're not, the state's not borrowing for them, but the state can put its, you know, it's sort of like with VHCB, and I think the
Exactly.
housing,
Trust.
yeah, VHCB, thank you. But
Okay.
I don't know for sure, so I'll double check.
Where in the book is the state college funds for Vermont State College right here? On page 45. All set, thank you. I think we should probably spend a little more time on that. Try to figure that out. I mean, they do have specific projects.
Right. Yeah, and you know, to be fair, deferred maintenance is a big deal, especially in some of the campuses. Castleton
It's
itself
huge.
is,
So many
there's buildings that haven't had attention for years and years.
Yeah, Randolph's got huge issues. Wouldn't want to short them, that stuff.
So it might be a good place for us to leave off,
Okay.
because there's probably not much we're gonna find out. We just have to make a decision about who we're gonna talk to next, as far as to who we wanna come in, and,
Just so I can pass word along to Becky, on lines, so in section 17, lines 164 to 176, is it safe to say you guys are okay with those expenditures?
yeah, I think so. Guys, you wanna just go down through them and just look at them real quick while we're together?
Yeah, there were no changes made by the House, right?
Yeah, there's no changes.
Originally, they were in a different place, we were okay with them.
And 32 Cherry, that's a different one than the one we're selling, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
108 is the,
Okay.
yeah,
so you're good, you wanna mark them off?
164 through what, Dan?
All the way down to the
164
yellow.
through 170.
76.
Right, because many of these we talked about in the other sections.
Correct.
And then the one note I want to make on 178, which is the IIJA. So when A&R testified, because they've gotten, so every year around this time, March, April, they get the actual, what the federal government actually intends to give the state for clean water, drinking water, state revolving fund. So up until that point, the state sort of estimates what it'll be. But when the actual numbers came, the number that was in the House bill was about 100,000 short of what they need. So I just want to put it out there that if you went to 9.8, that would that is what A&R says they need for FY24 and FY25. And then the rest, 26, 27, I think is going to be in the big bill. So at this point, I don't think you have to worry about trying to figure out how to fund it in this bill. I think it's just going to be funded elsewhere.
So to make that whole, should we be thinking of 24.3 million or 24.4 million? Because
I got 24.3, but
right, that's what I had,
That's
but
doing it.
again, added another 100,000.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 24.4 now.
Okay,
And what is that under?
So that's the total. That's the total IIJ match need for 4 years, FY24, 25, 26, and 27. This nine, if you
24, 25, 26, 27.
yeah.
right. So that money's out of the way. We're not worried about it ever again. The way Senator Kitchell said this, she'll put a fence around it and it will be just done. So we don't have to worry about that. 320 million, which is even higher than that.
yeah, I think it was just 325.
Yeah. And so we just don't have to worry about it. It's done.
Okay.
Then we just have to see about what we want to do as far as from that 10 million down to 4 million. And where we're going to pull that money from. We probably want to talk. So we probably want to talk to A&R again on that. Okay, Linda?
On which one?
On line 180. And we want to talk, who would we talk to knowledgeably on lines 177, Dan? From our state colleges?
Yeah, I think. Gosh, who's there? Whoever the chancellor is. So
That would be Zolfi Sadati.
So we should probably talk to them.
Sharon Scott is their CFO, I believe.
That's right.
So, and then we, going back to, we should probably talk to BGS on lines 14 and 15, which is the State House expansion, and the Newport courthouse.
Yep.
Senator Harris is gonna check her notes, well, before we get there. We wanna probably talk on line 66, we probably wanna talk on, Agency of Natural Resources, about the dam safety.
Yeah.
And the, line 69, again, Julian Moore, our Fish and Wildlife, general infrastructure projects, small scale maintenance and rehab.
So that's Chris Herrick for Fish and Wildlife.
Yep. And then Wendy's gonna look at her notes for lines 100.
Who's the right one?
That's the
Yeah, I thought that was.
dry
where I was doing
hydrant.
My notes. Where's the other time when you showed us doing my notes?
So are we waiting to hear from them if you want to hear?
Michael DeLorean.
Yeah. I'll get back.
And then Dan will do what he does with the budget committee. Which might not be resolved until a little bit longer, but
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know. Certainly we have time, and we're not gonna finish this bill up, but we're gonna have time to see where it's gonna get all laid out. So the other thing is, Jane was gonna work on the language on the cash fund as far as the funding mechanism, so we're gonna kind of be waiting back from them. But we had some pretty prescriptive language in in some of the bill on the, about reports, reporting back and all of that stuff. We should probably spend a little time on that.
And that's something that Becky and I can walk you through, because a lot of it really
Right.
pertains to the older funds that are out there and how those amounts are reported.
Okay.
So if you want to have us back in.
Yeah, we'll have you back in
We'll be
on
back in
that.
tomorrow, I
Can you
think.
come in tomorrow?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can talk about that piece tomorrow.
Becky can only be a part of the time, but this mostly you can do, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
okay.
So tomorrow we'll talk about the actual,
We'll get
the
some-
language.
We'll get into some language stuff. So Chris,
Okay.
And there's also a decent amount of corrections related language for those new facilities, and I maybe BGS or maybe Commissioner Demmel from DOC might be best suited to just talk about the language.
Yeah.
Later in the bill. And that's just, I think most of it pertains to the planning for the new women's facility.
Yeah, we should definitely have something on, we should have that again.
That's my section too.
Which section is it?
Early one.
Section 3 says agency for the services, is that what you're looking at?
Yes,
Oh, section 2, state house.
well,
Report.
no, on ours it's section 3.
Section-
I don't know what the new one is. It's the Agency of Human Services. And it's a women's correctional facility and reentry.
Yeah, 29.
But yeah, not to get ahead of ourselves, but the later section on the BGS. Well, we'll get to it. It's not a big deal.
which one?
Trying to find it.
I just have some very prescriptive language in there.
Yeah, section 30 of the bill. I would suggest we just.
Yeah,
It has the commissioner meeting at least 2 times a month.
yeah,
With the sergeant at arms, the designee on any maintenance, renovation, or construction. I mean, if you're gonna be
we don't need to do that.
that micromanaging somebody,
It does some micromanaging, but should we just find out why they said that?
No, I don't want to
Maybe,
say
maybe
it.
there's another. Well,
Talk about it another time.
Okay.
Okay,
okay.
you good? Senator Mazzei, you
Senator
good?
Mazzei, you still with us?
Still there?
We're gonna call it a day. You good?
All set?
You can play with your toys now.
You gonna be back
Okay.
tomorrow or you gonna stay another
Thank
day
you.
out?
Yep. Okay, well,